Welcome to the Chronically Healthy Life Show. When you hear the word chronically, do you automatically associate it with chronic disease? We all do. It's been programmed right into us. But what if we flip that whole idea on its head? Let's discover how we can create chronic health in our bodies, our minds, our finances, our relationships, and of course, in our lives. Let's jump right on in. I'm Andy, and joining me in everything, my life partner is Minna.
So when you were a kid, would your parents say something like, "I wish you were more like somebody else," or "I wish you were something else"?
Yeah, I got a little bit of that. Not as much as my brother. I did better in school than he did.
So what we're talking about is authenticity, right? It's
Good.
it's the way we brought up. It just the people around us tends to want to mold a kid to something that they inspired to be or they wanted to be, especially our parents, right?
If you bring it that way, it is very true because neither of my parents, neither of them even went to high school, right? Like I think they went to elementary school. Um, my oldest brother went to high school, but uh, he literally skipped out of high school by jumping out the window. Like, that's how he skipped out. It was like it was so horrible. He actually opened the window and left that way. But yeah, I think I can totally see that they were putting all their hopes and dreams into us, and using us to brag about them.
Well, the other thing also is that the social media or back then it's just media, right? They want to show you what is considered desirable or the things that people like. And when you see that, you kind of want to be more like that because you want to be liked.
That's true. That's true because my parents, we came from a small village, right? So technically, my family's village people. There's a lot more than that. It's not necessarily a bad thing. We're actually writing a book about that. And you'll probably get a little bit more about that. But coming as village people, my dad had a lot of pride to break out of that mode, and he was using his children. Say, "Wow, look, he used to do so well in school. He's going to be a doctor. He's going to be a lawyer, or engineer, whatever it may be." And my marks were pretty good in high school. I never ended up being any of those things, but my marks were going towards that direction.
So I guess when you're growing up, it's kind of hard to be yourself, how to exactly be yourself. Even like when I grew up, I don't even know what I want to be because like everybody's telling me you should be this.
I think when it comes down to being yourself, when you're in high school, even just growing up, you are being who you want to be. You want to be liked by everyone else,
You
right?
like to be the girl that people want,
Yeah,
right?
exactly, right. I wanted to be the one that everyone wanted to be around. I wanted to be the funny guy. I wanted to be the person that everyone came to advice when they're having relationships. And funny enough, that's what I was actually back in the day.
You're
But
not that funny.
no, the person that came to me for relationship advice. No, I wasn't
Okay.
that funny. But it's funny because that's what it gravitated to, and then it sort of pigeonholes you to that, for the rest of your life.
So how would you think it would mean for you to actually be yourself, to embrace the true self? I mean, how would that make you?
I think if there's ways for me to figure out back then, looking back, because there was really no clarity at all what I wanted to be. If there is some way to figure out how to be my true self a little earlier, that'll be that would be so awesome because it took many years for me to figure out what would be my end up being what I want to do, what I had passion to do, and become my true self.
Yeah, because there's a lot of studies on people that thought they were successful, they make a lot of money, they make in a really high status, and some of them people they're actually not happy, and that's because they're not really embracing the true self.
Hmm.
So even though they may appear to be successful, they don't see themselves as successful, and they're not happy at all.
And that happens more often than not, right? It's
Mhm.
like as an outside person, you say, "Wow, look at how big their house is. They own like 5 cars, and it's such a beautiful wife or beautiful husband, right? whatever it may be. You got 5 beautiful children, and you're jealous of all these things, and the person could be very unhappy because something is not he is not being very passionate about what he's doing. He's just doing what everyone else is expecting him to do.
I mean, you hear the celebrities, these TV movie stars that kill themselves because of that. They just can't be themselves.
So, what's a great way to self-reflect?
So, we are Canfield followers,
Hmm.
and he has a 7-step thing to help you embrace authenticity.
Hmm.
So, the first one is to do self reflection and journaling.
Hmm.
So, what that do is when you're journaling, you're really digging deep into inside you and trying to gain clarity on your authentic self. And by writing about your thoughts and your experiences, that will remind you of what makes you feel good and what makes you not feel too good.
That's great. That's a great thing to do, right? I do a lot of mental journaling. And the next thing is one of my favorite is meditation and mindfulness.
Hmm. Well, we do that every day, and just it really just like 5 minutes a day, and just need to connect with your inner self through mindfulness and meditation, and we do visualizations on where you want to be, what makes you happy, and how did you want a day to be. So that kind of mindful meditation that really helps you embrace your true self and really get clarity on what you want in life.
And the next one is follow your passions. And one of the things that Jack Canfield always said is find something that you love to do and figure out how to make money with it, right? And I always thought that is just genius, right? But not everything that you like to do can you make money, but it's not necessarily true, right? Like, from the times from we got out of school from university through now, we had like a lot of journeys. We had a lot of businesses that we went through. And I find that the business that I was passionate about, those are the ones that we had success. Other ones where we thought that we are going to make a change and help change people's lives for the wrong reasons because we weren't really passionate about it. That didn't work out too well for us.
Yeah, I mean, true story, right? When I was good in music, I'm
Hmm.
pretty good in piano, and when I'm trying to pursue music in college, my mom actually said, you can't pursue that because you're not
Hmm.
going to get any money. And so I decided to listen to her for once in my whole life, and just drop my passion.
That is so true. That's so true. And the next one is cultivating authentic relationships. And this one's pretty important.
This one's hard to do.
Yeah.
You surrounding your people, surround yourself with people that actually support you and understand you. It's not just, people that you drink beer with or whatever it is that you go happy hour with. This is hard to do, and it's hard to find people like that.
And that always revolves back to finding your tribe of five,
Mhm.
right? People that have similar beliefs, similar journeys that we want to go together, supporting each other. And I think that's always picking your top five. You're always going to be changing that around. It's always revolving. Don't just pick your first five and get stuck with them, right? It's always going to be revolving because we're always evolving too, right?
And of course, practice gratitude. And I know I overheard you yesterday people asking you about gratitude in your interview.
Oh my gosh. Like, I'm going to share this interview. I totally think I got ambushed in this interview. It was a great interview. They were asking all these questions and how do you keep gratitude? How do you keep your relationship with your wife? I'm not going to have any spoilers. I thought it was hilarious, but it was a very interesting interview, which put me definitely on my toes because they were asking questions about relationships and how people are when you get down, how I stay so positive and stuff like that. But it's true, gratitude's important. Like no matter how far you get kicked down, there's always something that you can learn from it. So you be grateful of the things you learn from your mistakes.
So the last two steps is set boundaries, meaning you kind of have to respect each other's boundaries and what is in their world, kind of, right? So even when I'm living with him, we're together. We have to have our own space,
Our own bubble.
our own bubble. Okay. And of course, the last thing is to embrace vulnerability, and this is hard, especially for men.
Not for me. Messing on that man. Yes, it's so true. You know, I love seeing it. You know, men have their egos, right? We have our men ego, which is worse than your ego because we're never wrong, right? And we want to fix everything, even when there's nothing being fixed. So, you know, I think we really need to let go of our ego. And, you know, I think men just really need to embrace their vulnerability because that's the only way you're going to find out your true passion. You're going to find out how you're going to create your authentic relationship with your significant other and even your children or even your parents.
All right, so that's the 7 steps, and we're going to take a break, and we'll be right back.
We all hope to age gracefully so we can enjoy our later years full of energy, vitality, and good health. But so often, with age, our bodies start to show signs that things just aren't as they used to be. Our energy, skin, healing and recovery time, sleep, it all just seems to go downhill. Unless you're using LifeWave X39, the world's first product ever to activate stem cells. A true breakthrough in regenerative science that helps restore our bodies to a healthier, more youthful state. The secret? By harnessing the power of LifeWave's patented phototherapy, X39 uses light to elevate a peptide proven to signal the activation of stem cells. Think about it. These are the cells that generate and regenerate all the cells and structures of the human body. They're the building blocks for our organs, tissues, blood, and immune system. They also serve as an internal repair system everywhere. But as we age, stem cells become less effective. Their ability to repair damaged tissue is reduced. In fact, by age 60, they've slowed dramatically. But all that changes when just one LifeWave X39 patch is placed anywhere on the body each day. It's time you experience the power of X39.
Hey, welcome to Kids Corner. Today, I have a story to tell you. I had a parent of twin 7-year-olds come to me yesterday and ask me that one of her twins is doing okay with reading and the other is not. Same teacher, same classroom, so why? And I said that it's really important when you see that struggle to not think it's just going to magically get better. Please do not do that. It doesn't get better. So I recommended that she email the school and request testing for, here's the key phrase, a specific learning disability. What that does is it triggers a sequence of events where they respond to you and they schedule testing and so on. It's free to you, the parent. You don't have to worry about that. And should the child come back with something like dyslexia, it allows you to then have either a 504 plan or an IEP, which stands for Individualized Education Plan, which gives the child accommodations, extra time, extra help, things like that. It's really, really important. That's my background is resource. So it's really important for kids who are struggling to get that help. Otherwise, they will eventually just shut down, and then it's really, really rough. And I don't want that to happen. And I also feel like parents and teachers who are aware are the ones that are on the ground in this grassroots movement to help our kids. So if you see anything like that happening, that's the key to do that. And please feel free to, you can email me through my website, barefootlearningclub.com, and I'm happy to chat with you or help you out. Okay, ciao for now. Sorry, I was muted. Okay, welcome back, everybody. This is to the Chronically Healthy Life Show. Today, it is my pleasure, my absolute dear, dear friend, Phyl Macomber, is here with us today. She is one of the most amazing educators I have ever known. She is the author of the Amazon #1 bestseller, Every Child Can Learn, Your Roadmap to Inclusive Education. And besides being a best-selling author, she's a keynote speaker, a podcast host, and an education specialist. She is the CEO and president of Make a Difference, Inc. and Practical Assistive Technology Solutions, Inc. She is brilliant, and you're going to love her. Phyl, thank you so much for coming on our show today.
Oh, it is my pleasure. I'm so looking forward to our conversation.
You know, when we were talking earlier, we were discussing the the impact, like how early do we start thinking about the health and well-being of our kids that impacts their brain and their learning and their development? What do you think?
Oh, we need to start as early as possible. You know, in early intervention and preschool years, right, Christy? It is critical for us, especially when teaching children about healthy eating, to help their brains focus and improve their learning as young as preschool years. There is a colleague of mine on the other side of the world in Australia. His name is Matt Reynolds, and he has several early childhood centers. He serves children from 2.5 all the way up to 6 years of age. And he was and his staff were trying to model healthy eating for these youngsters. And at first, of course, as you would imagine, right, you're putting vegetables at snack time in front of these kids. And what do you think they're doing? They're pushing them away, right? No, no broccoli, no broccoli. Yeah. And so he started a program, which I was so impressed with when I interviewed him, called Plant to Plate. And what he did was he involved the kids in gardening. Whatever they grew, they ate. And imagine 3-year-olds now asking, more broccoli, please, in the way that they could say it. It was adorable. But we need to make sure that we're teaching these things as early as possible, right?
Absolutely. It is, it starts with food. Our, everything else stems from our physical body's health and well-being.
Mm-hmm.
And when we bring the kids into it right from the get-go, they're just, it's like, oh, that's the way it is, instead of, McDonald's and candy.
Right.
So yeah, it's, oh my gosh, it's just, I think that the eating also seems to really impact their emotional well-being. I've really noticed the difference in the classroom between that kid who had donuts for snack time and that kid that had grapes or carrots for snack time.
Right. And we have our educators in school that have very big hearts with their wallets, because they go out and they buy snacks for kids that really need to have those snacks because maybe they don't come from a lot of means, right? And we always remind educators, choose wisely what you're giving kids for options, right? In one school that I was supporting, the teacher had an air popper, and popcorn is a whole grain, right? And so there's lots of different ways you could even season popcorn, and what's the flavor of the week. And the kids were helping make all these little snack bags, and they were so invested in this. Again, just like the example from Matt Reynolds from Australia, that if the kids are engaged in creating the snacks they're going to eat and having choices, right, from, eat this instead of this, I think you get much better buy-in, which in turn affects learning. I know even with myself, Christy, like in the real world, like, if I am going to have a healthy snack, my work is going to be much more productive, or a healthy lunch or dinner, right?
Absolutely. True. You know, I've often told parents, if it's difficult to get your kid to transition quickly, then do it in an easier way. Like, for example, when you send the apple slices, send some almond butter that they can dip, or peanut butter, or something that's not full, you know, choose one that's more natural, that doesn't have a bunch of sugar on the label. And then they can dip it, and it's more fun for them, and they like it. And you can do, you know, and sweeter vegetables like carrots always are good. And then that way they're, you know, my mom, when we were kids, she used to call grapes nummies. Would you like some nummies? we were really little, and that was
Adorable.
I thought that was, yeah. It's like you just, kids just absorb that, and then it just makes it so much better. You know, when we were talking earlier, you mentioned you have some tips for parents to kind of help make things easier, because I know how overwhelming it feels to think, you know I need to do this, but it's like on top of everything else.
Right.
And yeah, so what is something real easy that parents could implement?
I think first and foremost, be a role model by eating healthy yourself. And every single time we do something in front of a child, we are modeling for them what they should be doing. And sometimes we forget that, right? And I say that to teachers as well, but for parents, if your children see you eating healthy, it's more likely they will eat healthy, right? And so that is my very first tip. And going back to the engagement and involving kids, you know, whether they're toddlers or teens, as I say, I think that kids need to be involved in the process of planning healthy meals together and having choices in the grocery store. And, you know, older kids can take on like larger roles, like choosing recipes and helping make a shopping list. But being able to be in the grocery store and having kids choose the 2 fruits of the week that they'd like to eat, and they go pick them out and they put them in the cart. That's the investment, and that doesn't take a lot of time, right?
Yeah, no, because it just fits right into your day. It's seamless.
Right.
And then you're in a time like summer, when there's an abundance of all those wonderful fruits, watermelons and berries and cherries and grapes and peaches and everything. You know, that was one thing I learned growing up from my grandmothers, is every summer it was big bowls of fruit salad, and we could just go in and have fruit salad anytime we wanted.
Yeah.
And we would be outside playing, and we get all hot, and we come in and eat fruit, you know. And that's other stuff we weren't allowed to access at will. But fruit, yeah. And that's really important. That's a really good point. And it's just seamlessly fits right into your day and your
because
lifestyle.
you have to go grocery shopping anyway.
Right.
Why not? And have it be a family event, right? With, again, kids learning to make choices and having a voice, because, you know, as you know, based on just what I do in terms of supporting children with disabilities and being able to give kids a greater voice is important. And having a voice in your family is also very important. You know, you were talking about being younger. When I was a child, I went to parochial school. And when I was in first grade, the teachers contacted and called my mom and said, Philly is not eating at lunch. And my mom is like, what? How is she getting through the school day? And so my mom and I talked about it, and I said I didn't like the food that they had at school, because a lot of it was that, you know, that processed, you know, put it on the tray. And they were very nice ladies that worked in the cafeteria. So my mom decided she was going to volunteer in the cafeteria to see if she could get me to eat. Well, then she saw what they were serving, and I brought lunch every day. Oh, I think I think you're muted.
Okay. It's like the light goes on and
Right.
yeah. Your
Right.
mom was very wise to check that out
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
not make assumptions
Mm-hmm.
that something else was going on. And
I know.
that was wise.
Yeah, my
Yeah.
mom used to say, "What did you have for lunch today?" This was before she volunteered, and I would say milk and pickles. And she was like, "Oh my goodness, honey, you need to eat." And I was like, I'm not eating that." And the other thing too, as tips for parents, is teaching what serving sizes are, because you could even have something that is a healthier food choice, but gorging on it also is not a good idea. Being able to have portion control and doing that as early as possible with kids is a great idea. Now, I say that, and I grew up in an Italian family, as you know, and there are no portion sizes. So it's always like manja, manja, and you just eat and eat. But it's so important. Like, what is a serving size? And teaching kids to look at labels for things and substituting things out in family recipes when you're cooking. Instead of white sugar, what are other choices we could use to sweeten? Maybe we'll use honey or something else that's a healthier choice as a sweetener.
Yes, like monk sugar.
Right.
That's a much better alternative. Yes, yes.
Yes. In fact, Andy got me into that.
Me too.
Yeah.
When I was teaching, oftentimes we'd have birthdays in the classroom.
Oh, yeah.
And typically the moms would bring in, goodies for the kids. And I always liked it when they brought cupcakes, because I thought a cupcake, a single cupcake, was a very reasonable thing to give a child.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't like this honking piece of cake or with a half a pint of ice cream on it. And
Right.
that way they get the fun and the joy of the special occasion,
Right.
and don't, without the deprivation.
Exactly. Because again, life is about balance, right? And I know on my birthday, I like having sweet treats, but again, it's about the serving size, right? And it's about, oh, well, this is a special treat, but it's not a part of my regular lifestyle, and modeling that for kids. And I think that's important. And I think that these are practical things that parents easily could do in addition to school, right? For teachers to do. Make your own snacks instead of buying prepackaged ones.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because in the past, you and I have even talked about, I love guacamole. And instead of buying prepackaged guacamole, I make my own guacamole because I can control what's in that. And teaching kids to love to cook and meal prep. I mean, and like I mentioned before, Christy, it's hard for me to not love cooking growing up in an Italian family. I love to cook, and I wish I had more time to be able to do it on a regular basis. But that's a relaxing thing for me, and that's a great gift to give children.
It is. I wish there were more programs in school that were like this. Like, I do know that when I lived in San Diego, there were several high schools that were implementing farm to table in the school, where it was an actual class for credit.
Yeah.
Where they could take the class, and they had the farming class where they planted the seeds and they had to take care of it and then harvest it. And then the class that was the cooking class would prepare the food for everybody. And it was just amazing. And they loved it.
Mm-hmm.
And the kids would say things like, this is real. This is real. This is, algebra is not really real, or something like that.
Right.
This is real.
Yeah, but reserving places in schools to be able to grow, right? Year round. Now, I live in New England in the state of Vermont, so it's not like we would be gardening outside all year, right? But kids will grow things in school all year because there are certain sections in the school where they could do that, right? And when you think of families, I mean, not every family has a home with a yard that they could do that, but you certainly can create something like that in your apartment or wherever you live, right? And or even in your home for that matter.
Yes, there are so many things coming out now. In fact, Andy and Minna have some in their homes. They're round and they're tall, and so even though they have a lovely backyard with a garden, they will fit on your balcony or your patio or in your kitchen in a corner, and you can it's and then you can the kids can have fun like selecting what they're going to grow, and they get to eat it. And I remember eating out of my grandmother's gardens, both my grandmothers, especially the strawberries. That's what vividly stands out in my mind.
Yeah.
And they don't even taste like that anymore.
Yeah.
The way they taste when you're growing them. And I think that's one of the things that kids get immediately. It's like, hey, this tastes good.
Yeah. You know, there's one program that I consult in, and we were doing an entire nutritional unit. We're teaching about serving sizes. What was discussed at the start of the program that Andy and Minna were talking about were about journaling, right? The kids were actually keeping food journals as a writing activity just to kind of see what they were eating throughout the school day. And if they wanted to, they also could have done it at home. But the teacher wanted to expose the kids to different, let's say, fruits, because you just mentioned strawberries. But like some of the kids had never even seen or heard of a pomegranate or a star fruit. And so she would bring it in, and after they tasted it, they had to come up with 5 describing words for that new food that they ate. And she also did that with vegetables. You know, and you'd pull it out of the reusable grocery bag, guess the vegetable, and then they would taste it, and then they would have to do the describing. But it increased their palate, right? And their food inventory, so to speak.
And that said, I think that is brilliant. But that said, I also think it's important to honor the child if they absolutely hate something. Like for me, cauliflower, I detest it. I just cannot take it. I hate it. I will eat broccoli. I'll eat pretty much anything, but not cauliflower. And I think
I'm that way about Brussels sprouts.
Yes.
I just can't do it.
Yeah. So if you allow the child don't force the child to eat something they just detest in favor of something they like, you're giving everybody success right from the get-go.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the whole thing. I think we're on the same page. Like all of education, we need to set everybody up for success so that we want to continue to do these things and we don't start getting an aversion because we're being forced.
And starting early. It's all about educating. You cannot expect to see the behaviors that you want to see in children if you don't explicitly teach them the knowledge behind exhibiting those behaviors, just like with starting early in toddler and preschool years, right?
Oh, for sure. The littler the child, the easier it is to guide them. So you want to, kind of guide them in that. I was thinking about the helping the kids plan meals. With little kids, they can actually do little things under supervision. Like I used to do this with my niece and nephew where they'd stand on a chair and I would let them hold the hand mixer, but I'd put my hand over it so I had full control. But they would learn the feeling of that, or like helping me pour the eggs into the pan or something like that. And they just begged me, "Can we cook now, Aunt Chris?"
Oh,
they didn't do that much of that at home. So I think they liked it when they came over.
Yeah.
And yeah. So in school it's the same way. We let them experience these things, and yeah, it's an amazing thing. Oh, well, I hope that more people start taking the example of your friend in Australia. Remind me what his name?
Matt Reynolds.
Matt Reynolds, and implementing in preschools and pre-kindergartens and the very young ones, elementary schools. And I worked at a Title I school in San Diego, and we stayed open during holidays and weekends because some of those kids, it was the only food they got.
Oh.
And so that principal was very aware, and she had funds coming in to provide them, so they had access to fresh fruits and vegetables, as well as the other stuff. So it was a wonderful thing, and it was like we couldn't really close in the summer because what are the kids not going to eat all summer? So we yeah. So for the kids,
well, the same thing during the pandemic, right, Christy?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I know at least in the New England area, teachers volunteered their time to be on school buses, and they did the tour of the neighborhood, and they were dropping off food to all of the families that needed it.
Wow. See, people are so wonderful.
I know.
I wish there was more awareness of how wonderful people really are. Yeah. It's those few really kind of sucky people that get all the attention, and most people, they have a heart they want the kids to be healthy and happy, and we want that, that's an amazing thing. Phil, so if people want to get in touch with you, how would they find you? How would they get in touch with you?
Well, they certainly can go to my website, which is related to my educational project. And that website is aboutthepact.com. And also they could, my number is up on the bottom of the screen. They could text me. You can find me on the pretty typical social media outlets: Facebook, Instagram, X, previously known as Twitter, and LinkedIn.
Previously known as Twitter. That cracks me up.
I have to practice saying it because I'm not used to saying that. And also my email address. My name is spelled PHYL, Phil@aboutthepact.com.
Wonderful. Phil, I can attest, everybody, Phil is amazing. If you want to talk to her, take the opportunity.
I welcome it.
Beautiful soul. Okay, coming up next, stay tuned, you guys. We have, I believe we have biohacking tip of the week coming up next. So stay tuned.
Has anyone ever told you, stand up straight, or scolded you for slouching at a family? Comments like that might be annoying, but they're not wrong. Your posture, the way you hold your body when you're sitting or standing, is the foundation for every movement your body makes, and can determine how well your body adapts to the stresses on it. These stresses can be things like carrying weight or sitting in an awkward position, and the big one we all experience all day, every day: gravity. If your posture isn't optimal, your muscles have to work harder to keep you upright and balanced. Some muscles will become tight and inflexible. Others will be inhibited. Over time, these dysfunctional adaptations impair your body's ability to deal with the forces on it. Poor posture inflicts extra wear and tear on your joints and ligaments, increases the likelihood of accidents, and make some organs, like your lungs, less efficient. Researchers have linked poor posture to scoliosis, tension headaches, and back pain, though it isn't the exclusive cause of any of them. Posture can even influence your emotional state and your sensitivity to pain. So there are a lot of reasons to aim for good posture. But it's getting harder these days. Sitting in an awkward position for a long time can promote poor posture, and so can using computers or mobile devices, which encourage you to look downward. Many studies suggest that, on average, posture is getting worse. So what does good posture look like? When you look at the spine from the front or the back, all 33 vertebrae should appear stacked in a straight line. From the side, the spine should have 3 curves, one at your neck, one at your shoulders, and one at the small of your back. You aren't born with this S-shaped spine. Babies' spines just have one curve, like a C. The other curves usually develop by 12 to 18 months, as the muscles strengthen. These curves help us stay upright and absorb some of the stress from activities like walking and jumping. If they are aligned properly, when you're standing up, you should be able to draw a straight line from a point just in front of your shoulders to behind your hip, to the front of your knee, to a few inches in front of your ankle. This keeps your center of gravity directly over your base of support, which allows you to move efficiently with the least amount of fatigue and muscle strain. If you're sitting, your neck should be vertical, not tilted forward. Your shoulders should be relaxed, with your arms close to your trunk. Your knees should be at a right angle, with your feet flat on the floor. But what if your posture isn't that great? Try redesigning your environment. Adjust your screen so it's at or slightly below eye level. Make sure all parts of your body, like your elbows and wrists, are supported, using ergonomic aids if you need to. Try sleeping on your side with your neck supported and with a pillow between your legs. Wear shoes with low heels and good arch support, and use a headset for phone calls. It's also not enough to just have good posture. Keeping your muscles and joints moving is extremely important. In fact, being stationary for long periods with good posture can be worse than regular movement with bad posture. When you do move, move smartly. Keep anything you're carrying close to your body. Backpacks should be in contact with your back, carried symmetrically. If you sit a lot, get up and move around on occasion. And be sure to exercise. Using your muscles will keep them strong enough to support you effectively, on top of all the other benefits to your joints, bones, brain, and heart. And if you're really worried, check with a physical therapist. Because yes, you really should stand up straight.
Hi everyone, this is Christy Boyd Johnson of the Barefoot Learning Club. It is a sad fact that today politics have completely taken over the schools. Real learning has been sacrificed for political agendas. As a result, kids are not learning to read. We have second and third graders barely reading, except for those lucky kids who will read no matter what the schools do to them. Unfortunately, that is not the majority. When I was teaching, I watched how really good reading systems were systematically eliminated from the schools. I saw kids shutting down and believing that they were too dumb to learn. Worse still, by making reading unattainable, they are essentially stealing our kids' futures. So the rebel that is me went on a quest to find reading programs that really work, that work with our neurological systems to enhance and speed up the learning process. And the number one thing that needs to happen is that we have to teach our kids to read. That is why Alicia and I started the Barefoot Learning Club. We are giving everyone the opportunity to learn to read in a way that is simple, fast, and fun. Best of all, your kids will start having success and never again believe that they are too dumb to learn. Go to barefootlearningclub.com now and sign up. Join me in being a rebel and let's get our kids reading. If they can read, they can literally do anything.
So we're right back. And that was actually pretty fascinating with all the different food hacks for children and everything, right?
I wish I knew that.
So, we would like to talk a little bit about the ultimate guide for a dream vacation. So, what would be a dream vacation for you?
Well, a dream vacation should be something that is kind of relaxing, so you can, sit back and really, because you talked about self-care last week, right?
Yes.
It's all about, releasing stress, taking care of yourself, rejuvenating, and all that. Just some place that's beautiful and nice and, not too busy.
And it's funny. We were talking about journaling, a little bit about manifesting and stuff like that. And we really manifesting our dream vacation that's coming up soon. That's going to be a business vacation at the same time. I'm going to be on stage talking about health and longevity in Dubai. So we would love to invite anyone that wants a nice, amazing vacation in Dubai, right? That's going to be packed with events. So if anyone's interested in that, definitely reach out to us because that's probably one of the most beautiful places in the world to visit.
So I might actually need another vacation after that vacation because it's a work vacation.
And that's why you have to do a little bit of research on what you like. But that was on our bucket list, right?
For sure. So when you do your dream to vacation, right, there are some tips that I found online that is basically common sense, like going to the airport early. Of course, you know that, right? And we need to do a different currency. Don't do that at the airport because they will gouge you.
Yeah, the
They
highest
will rip
rates
you off.
there. Right.
The one thing I didn't know though is, how we have VPN when we travel. We use VPN. Apparently, we use VPN. It hides your location. So sometimes you actually get different deals when you're shopping around for flights and hotels and stuff.
Oh,
Did not know that, right?
yeah. So VPNs that people don't know is those virtual private networks. So if you're in Florida, you can log in and still, the computer will still think you're in California, right?
Yeah. So you can do that. I mean, you do some kind of like flight shopping or something. They will actually give you a different rate. I didn't know that, so it's good to know. And of course, don't pack like my sister.
Yes, I remember that. I hope you don't watch the show because they're probably going to kick my butt. But they had a long trip. Was it Hong Kong, Japan, or whatever?
Asia trip.
It was an Asia trip, but they had a suitcase just filled with shoes.
It's a check-in luggage filled with shoes.
Just shoes. It was just shoes, like a large check-in luggage. And
so don't do that.
Don't do that. Especially now, they actually charge you for luggage, right? So,
for sure. Yeah.
So that doesn't make sense. We always travel light. Whenever we go, it's always like 2 carry-ons. And especially when you're traveling further, you want to make sure you have your essentials in the carry-on. Because when you're traveling international, a lot of times there is like a connection flight. And if you have check-in, a lot of times they lose your basics. And then now you got no clothes to wear for a few days while they're trying to find your luggage.
And if you're bringing a laptop, there's certain countries, you have to track the regulations. Some countries you actually have to declare it, otherwise they don't let you bring a laptop in for whatever reason. So there you go.
And if you're not working, you shouldn't be bringing your laptop anyway, right?
Stress-free.
Exactly. So that's our little quick tip for having your dream vacation because it's coming out to the end of the year. Everyone's probably planning some type of vacation for Thanksgiving or Christmas. So this is the time to book. You want to book it now to lock in the best rates.
For sure. And we're going to take a break and we'll be right back.
Hello. We are Mutts and Meows Rescue, a 501c3 nonprofit, foster-based, no-kill group. Mutts and Meows Rescue pulls dogs and cats from surrounding shelters in the greater Houston area. We even pick up dogs and cats abandoned on the streets. Mutts and Meows Rescue is foster-based and rely on your donations to keep rescuing. To know more about us is to know more about our furry friends and help them find their forever homes. Come visit us at Mutts and Meows Rescue on Facebook today and decide how you can make a difference.
Welcome back to Chronically Healthy Life. We hope you enjoyed our show today. We started a little late because we have some hiccups of technology, man, beautiful, beautiful things with technology.
Shit happens.
Exactly. But we hope that we give you tips on finding your authentic self, because when you're your most authentic self and chasing your passions and figuring out how to use your passions to do your career, it's just life changing, right? It just everything just clicks, and then you make connections and you're just happier, right? You're gonna be happier what you do.
For sure. So who do we have next week?
So next week we have Krita Makula. She's gonna be here next week. And join us here every Friday at 7 p.m. CST. You can watch past episodes at watch.e360tv.com in the Vitality TV network. Also, we love to hear from you, so please give us your comments on our Facebook page, Chronically Healthy Life. And you can rewatch this episode on our website, chronicallyhealthylife.com /TV, and or YouTube channel. And of course, always email us at anything@chronicallyhealthylife.com.
We'll see you next week.
See you next
Hi, I'm Suzanne Sevilla, your host of Pivot Now. Join us on E360 TV every Tuesdays, 10 a.m. Pacific Time, 1 o'clock Eastern Time. Pivot Now.